Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now entering the third session of the day, and the title is Indonesia's Shifting Capital, Opportunities for Borneo's Dialogue Session. Allow me to just read a few lines here. With mounting pressures faced by Jakarta, the Indonesian government has made a bold and strategic decision to move its capital city 2,000 kilometers away to East Kalimantan, Borneo, right here on this very island. And this move would provide an impetus for the island of Borneo to thrive economically, benefiting many of its neighbouring states, including us right here in Sabah, neighbouring Sarawak, Brunei as well. May I invite the following speakers, the keynote speaker, the panel speakers, and also the moderator to take their seats on stage. First, Dewi Virgiyanti, the Director of Urban Housing and Settlement, Ministry of National Development Planning, Indonesia. Next, the Honorable Pangeran Dr. Haji Muhammad Yaakob bin Pangeran Haji Othman, the Advisor, Brunei-China One Belt One Road Association, Negara Brunei Darussalam. Next, His Excellency Emmanuel F. Pino, Chairman, Mindanao Development Authority, the Philippines. Next, Hajah Nur Zalida Ahmad, Head of Communications, Lebuh Raya Borneo Utara, Sarawak, Malaysia. Next, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Panglima Wong Ken Tau, Chairman, MICCI Sabah Branch, Malaysia. And last but not least, our moderator, Dr. Firdausi Sufian, the Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs, University Teknologi Mara Cawangan, Sabah, Malaysia. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to all of our panel speakers that we have up front here. And without further ado, I would like now to hand over the session to Dr. Firdausi Sufian of UITM Mara Cawangan, Sabah. Dr. Firdausi, please.
Thank you so much, Ben. And ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And welcome to the third sessions of the World Islamic Economic Forum 2020 in Sabah. Can you guys give one more time a round of applause, please? Our panelists. All right. So I believe after the lunch just now, you are all up for this session, because this session will be another important session and also interesting. I'm not saying that the previous one are not, the previous two are not, but this one, previously they talk about investment, they talk about sustainability, and this time we're going to look at even micro level, where we're going to talk about the Jakarta relocation, the capital city of Jakarta relocation to East Kalimantan. Now, this topic was when they decided on the 20th, when President Jokowi decided to relocate the capital city to East Kalimantan in 26 August 2019, everybody talks about it. You know, the NGO, business chambers, government, because it's a new vista. It's a new opportunity, which is also in line with our theme today, economic rejuvenation, the new path, I would say a new path to new growth in this Borneo region. Now, but of course, it was all right, but after that, you know, because of the COVID virus, we have this pandemic, somehow the discussion is a bit slow. And then we have another one, polydemic. Polydemic is political endemic in Malaysia. Some people say it's mahademic. You interpret that later. All right, anyway, today, when we talk about Jakarta relocation, when we talk about the capital relocation, this is something new in in this Borneo region, but it's not really new. Brazil relocated its capital city from Sao Paulo to Brazil, and then you have Melbourne, Australia, Melbourne to Canberra, and then you have Malaysia as well. It used to be called the government administration, right, to Putrajaya. So today we're gonna talk about the relocations of a new capital city in East Kalimantan. Well, I guess this is something new because this will give a new opportunity. It will give more investment opportunity, more business opportunity, and more importantly, the trade linkages between this region. Now, before I begin, ladies and gentlemen, let me just briefly introduce our speaker, because this session is a bit different, right? This session is a bit different. I have to be very particular with the time. First of all, we have the Honorable Pangeran Dr. Haji Muhammad Ayub, right? He is also the advisor of Brunei-China One Belt, One Road Association from Brunei. And then His Excellency Emmanuel F. Pinoy, Chairman Mindanao, the Development Authority of the Philippines. And then Nur Haja, you are very important here because we are talking about Pan Borneo for Sarawak. And then we have Datuk Sri Panglima Wong Ken Tau. I know you very well, sir. All right? Most Sabahan will know Datuk Wong Ken Tau. All right? And of course, we have Ibu Tri Dewi Virgiyanti, the Director of Urban Housing and Settlement Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, Indonesia. Now, this session is like this. We will divide into two. First, you will have a special keynote address from Ibu Tri Dewi Virgiyanti, all right? I keep on repeating it so I get it right. Then after that 30 minutes presentation keynote address, then we will have a roundtable discussion. All right? So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, now I would like to invite now I would like to call upon Ibu Tri Dewi Virgiyanti to deliver her special address on Indonesia's new capital moving to Borneo. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Ibu Tri Dewi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator, Pak Firdaus. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, the organizer, the WIEF, for inviting us, Indonesia, to this very special forum to present our plan to relocate our national capital from Jakarta to East Kalimantan. We call it Kalimantan, but here maybe you call it more on Borneo, so it's the same island. Yeah. Well, it is exciting, although at the same time it's also making us nervous. Because why? Because it's a very, very big project. And finally, after maybe several presidents already from the beginning, from Sukarno, from the first era of Indonesia after the independence, we already talk about moving the capital on and on, from one president to another president, until right now we decide. I mean, the president and already asked the permission from the legislative to move the capital, and we are now have a more concrete plan how we're gonna move the capital from Jakarta to East Kalimantan. So, but before going to the plan, present you the plan, I would like to give you some background on why we want to move. But maybe it's a bit similar to other countries that move the capital. Usually, commonly they have problems in the existing capital. For example, that has been mentioned by Pak Firdaus, that Jakarta is already has so many problems, traffic congestion, pollution, a number of people or population. Now, number of population in Jakarta is around 12 to 14 millions, but for the metropolitan is more than 30 millions, 32 millions exactly. So it's a very big city. It's maybe the area is only 70,000 hectares, so it's also very crowded. So not just Jakarta. Jakarta is located in Java Island, which is also a very, sorry, I have to turn on, sorry. So Jakarta is located in Java Island, one of the smallest island actually in Indonesia. So compared to other islands, especially Kalimantan or Borneo, it's only 1/5 of Borneo. But the population now is 150 million people. It's a lot, 150. All over Indonesia, we have 238 million. So more than half is living in Java. How many live in Borneo or Kalimantan is only 15 million. So maybe less, I cannot, sorry. It's only 15 million, so only 15 million in Kalimantan. So compared to 150 million in Java, it's 1/10. So that's one of the reasons we want also to move the capital to outside Java, actually. This also reflected in the economic size. Economic size of Java is, of course, again, because of the population is mostly in Java, so 60% of economy is in Java as well. Only 8% is in Kalimantan. Again, and between West and East Indonesia, it's very unequal. 80% is in west of Indonesia, Java and Sumatra, but 20% is spread out between other 4 islands in East Indonesia, including Kalimantan. That's why we want to have more center of growth more to the eastern part of Indonesia that is considered underdeveloped compared to other part of Indonesia, especially the west. So we're trying, actually I'm trying to give you what we have done in the last 3 years preparing this project in 30 minutes, so it's a bit not, so I may just give you highlights, not the detail. So we're trying, after we have the arguments, the reason why we need to move the capital, we're trying to find the right location. It's not an easy task as well. We have more than 15,000 islands with 5 to 7 big islands, including Java, Borneo, Sulawesi, and so on. So we're trying to find which location is the best for us to move the capital. We learn from, of course, from Putrajaya, from Naypyidaw, from Brasilia. They move, the one that moved very far is Brasilia, maybe 2,000 kilometers as well. But Malaysia moved just 25 kilometers to Putrajaya, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to find, with the reason that we have, we want to move it outside Java. We want to make a center of growth outside Java to the eastern part of Indonesia. So the location we're trying to find the one that is quite central to the west, to the east, and to the north and to the south of Indonesia. We are a very big country, as you know. So we're trying to find the one that is quite center. The 2 islands that is central to the Indonesia is Kalimantan and Sulawesi. But Sulawesi is a very prone to disaster, especially earthquakes. And Kalimantan is quite safe from earthquakes. That's one of the reasons that we choose then Kalimantan or Borneo. And then it's also, we have a very multicultural population in Indonesia, from south to from north, from west to east. We have a Pacific kind of culture. We have a Malay culture. We have a Javanese and so on. So we're trying to find a location that has multicultural community as well that is already in place. So it will not give more shocks to the community, a local community. And then we find a land that is suitable, land that is available as well for us to make the city. And then, of course, source of water, source of land, strategic location in terms of infrastructure as well. We don't want to build from zero, from totally zero, no. We're trying to find a location that's quite close to the existing infrastructure. That's why we also choose the location between Balikpapan, the existing city, and Samarinda in East Kalimantan. So now, after we choose, the government decide to move the capital to East Kalimantan, now is for us the time to plan. So actually, at the time we are preparing we already finished the master plan, the concept of master plan, and we are entering developing the master plan itself. After that, we're gonna have more detailed plan on what kind of infrastructure we're gonna build, then urban design, and we want to start the construction at least by next year. So what kind of city we want to develop is, of course, our president already put an ambitious vision, ambitious goals that we want to have a city that is the best on earth, the best in the world. So, because there are 5 principles that we want to put in the city. First, it needs to be a symbol of our national identity. Jakarta is a city left by the colonialism era from the Dutch colonization. So most of the government buildings are built in the Dutch era. And then we want also to have a modern international standard of city. We want to have a smart, of course, green, beautiful, and sustainable city. We also want an efficient and effective governance. We want to have a compact bureaucracy, but smart in terms of governments, people, and society. And also, one of the most important also is to make the city as a driver for economic equity in the eastern region of Indonesia. So the location is here. So Sabah is not. I didn't put Sabah over there. Sorry, because we very, very focus on the context of Indonesia first. So it's in the East Kalimantan, maybe two provinces below Sabah. It's in the east coast of Borneo or Kalimantan. So the total area is 256,000 hectares. But we already analyzed this area, 256,000, that we can build is only around 56,000 hectares. Or maybe more with additional in the East Coast, it could be more than around 80,000 hectares. But the black one mostly is the forest, the conservation forest. So 1/3 of the new capital will be forest, because we also want to keep Borneo as green as possible. It's one of the biggest forests, I think, in the world after Brazil. So how many people we gonna move? I mean, the total estimated population to be moved, I mean, most of the population will come from civil servants, of course. So we have a central state civil servants around 182,000 people, plus police and military, 256, plus the family members, plus the supporting population from economic agents or other economic activities and local residents. So total estimated population will be 1.5 million. So because of our vision to make this city as a driver for eastern part of Indonesia especially, but maybe from this forum it will be also good to be part of the region as well with Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei, and also maybe Philippines to be the driver for the regional economic, not just for Indonesia. So we're trying to find what kind of sector, I mean, beside the government sectors that will be moved, we're trying to find economic sector, what kind of economic sector that is suitable for East Kalimantan or for the new capital to be built, together of course with the private sector and also others. So the existing sector in the East Kalimantan is mostly agriculture, energy, and mining, and agriculture, energy, and mining. But we want to make this for expansion of the economic sector. Of course, from energy, we want to build also more on the renewable energy, mining more on sustainable mining, as well as the following manufacturing. But we also have a very good production on palm oil, for example, in Kalimantan. So we want to have a future sector that we want to build is pharmacy, oleochemia, and maritime logistic. So, but that's for the wide East Kalimantan. We want to keep the new capital still the clean industry inside. So maybe on the new capital is more on tourism, international education, health sector, and of course digital technology. With that kind of sector, we're trying that. Before it was just an estimated from the civil servant, but we want, if we going to develop more on economic sector in the area and the new capital as well as in the region, especially East Kalimantan, then our population may increase more. So our projection in 2045, the population will almost achieve 2 million people in the new capital and 11 million people in East Kalimantan. Although just now, I mean, last week, I think the president want to have more ambitious number of population to be in the area. So we will find a way, or we will analyze this more on this projection. So the expected economic impact in Indonesia is again, so more than 50% of the region in Indonesia will receive benefit and increased trade between regions. Additional national economic could be 0.1 to 0.2% per annum. And then multiplier effect, output and employment multiplier is around 2.3 to 2.9. So we hope that this will be enough for reducing the gap between regions, especially east and west part of Indonesia. So how much money we need? That's another part quite difficult. I mean, or to find funding for building this capital. We calculated for the first phase of moving the capital, building the capital, develop the capital, we're gonna need around 32 billion US dollar. So most of this funding, we hope we can come from the investors, actually, from the private sector. Maybe only 1/5 of it come from the national budget. But of course, for attracting investment, attracting private sector, we may need to provide more incentive that will come also from the national budget or other measures. So the two scheme that we prepare is, of course, public-private partnership and of course, and also direct investment. But we also want to utilize the assets that we left in Jakarta. We're gonna live in Jakarta to be utilized by maybe again with private sector cooperation, so it can be part of the source of income for developing the new capital. So now this is the timeline. As I said before, we still preparing the master plan. We hope that by August we're gonna have the final master plan, and then we're gonna have the urban design by the end of this year, and we're gonna have a groundbreaking next year early, we hope. So construction can begin until 2024 before the president is gonna have office in the new capital. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ibu Dewi Virgiyanti, for the presentation, Indonesia Shifting Capital. And those are the things that the planning, right, for the relocation. Now, when we talk about relocating capital city, first of all, of course, all of us will think that there will definitely, business opportunity will be there. Right? Investment will be there. Money and cent, of course. We're all going to talk about that later. But when this project is 30 billion, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, according to President Jokowi, 30 billion to relocate this capital city. And for information, East Kalimantan is one of the richest province with 45,000 US dollar GDP, which is far higher than Sarawak and Sabah, of course. And of course, Brunei is 12 billion because they are state itself, right? 12 billion US dollar. Now, the question here is very important because when we talk about business, investment, when we talk about economic opportunity, it's always boiled down to one key question: is our government, is our investor confident to invest in Kalimantan, right? Now, I give you an example. 20 years ago, did anybody actually look at China will become a major economic powerhouse? 20 years ago. Let me give you an example, right? Nobody actually, I mean, people talk about them, of course, until now, but 20 years ago, nobody actually looked at that, right? But now, of course, now we all talk about China, but of course, the economic is a bit downturn because of the COVID-19, but eventually it will recover anyway. Now, how about this Borneo region? How confident we are with our investment after when you talk about new capital city in East Kalimantan? So I'm going to ask the Honorable Pangeran Dr. Haji Muhammad Yaakob. Now, for information, the Honorable Pangeran he is an important person when it comes to industrial development planning in Brunei. He is the key person who actually have helped Brunei when it comes to industrial planning and also development. So, the Honorable Pangeran, so how do you see, how confident we are with the relocation and to bring Borneo as a relevant and reliable trade? Or maybe we can call today Borneo the Great Borneo. Can we say like that? How confident you are from Brunei point of view? Oh yeah, sure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First and foremost, I must congratulate Kota Kinabalu for hosting this prestigious round table. Islam encourages the sharing and spreading of knowledge. Anas ibn Malik reported, the messenger of Allah, peace and blessing be upon him, said, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim. And there's another hadith, Abu Huraira narrated, the messenger of Allah, peace and blessing be upon him, said, whoever travels a path in search of knowledge, Allah makes easy for him a path to Jannah. Congratulations to WIEF for being an agent for spreading knowledge. Just to break the ice, I just want to narrate, as an introduction. Kota Kinabalu is an enjoyable and relaxing 6-hour drive from Bandar Sri Begawan. Normally, I want to tell you what we normally do if we leave Bandar Sri Begawan towards Kota Kinabalu. We would stop at Limbang to buy a SIM card, which is important nowadays. We would proceed to Sipitang, because if you do not know, Sipitang is well known for satay. And then we would take a relaxing drive towards Beaufort. And I think many of you do not know, Beaufort is good for pau and coffee. And the owner of the restaurant is Sabah. And finally, at Bungawan, for soup rusa. And our friend said, soup rusa at Bungawan is good to revitalize energy before golf games at Borneo Golf Course. We also play at Sabah Golf Course, Karambunai Golf Resort, of course, and Sutra Harbour Golf and Country Club. With reciprocal arrangement with Brunei's golf clubs, golfing, especially in Kota Kinabalu, is an enjoyable 2-day holiday, not mentioning fantastic golf courses that I've been to in other towns of Sabah like Tawau. Seafood and durian around Kota Kinabalu are sinful to miss. With the opening, this is durian yang di bawah jembatan tu. Sedap itu sana. With the opening of Tumurung Bridge and the completion of Pan Borneo Highway, hopefully, Kota Kinabalu is a shorter trip, saving at least 90 minutes. Obviously, this shall bring more tourists among Bruneians and foreigners to your beautiful and developing city. And there is also a unique relationship, which many people do not know, even among the VIPs in Brunei, between our two countries. Since the number of Bruneians and the descendant in Sabah is about 1 million, which is 4 times more than our population. This is just a simple analogy I'm presenting of the benefits that can be derived from the development of a neighboring town or city. So, what I'm saying is, if Sabah develops, Brunei pun untung. Yeah, vice versa. At Dhaka's WIEF roundtable held in October last year, I presented my opinion on how much economic benefits Brunei Darussalam had gained from regional collaboration within ASEAN. This time around, I've been requested to give a review of how Brunei Darussalam can gain from the shift of Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, to East Kalimantan at an area between Kuta Kartanegara and North Penajam Pasir. We've heard from Ibu Tri Dewi deliberating on the reasons behind the shift of capital. President Jokowi has made a bold decision for good reasons, of course, to move Indonesia's capital from Jakarta to our island, Borneo. Rapid urbanization and overpopulation in Jakarta, and fighting income disparity, and to even out social polarization to support a more balanced regional development are all good considerations. Mind you, Jakarta has been for a long time the center of governance, business, finance, trade, and services. And it was also mentioned that moving capital is an expensive endeavor, an obvious fiscal burden to any government. At a cost of US $33 billion for a new city is not cheap. And politically, choosing this over other compelling priorities, such as reducing poverty, improving quality of education, increasing healthcare, just to name a few. Apart from the financial commitment, there are other requirements that need to be prepared and provided to make the new city attractive. Importantly, creating the right environment, such as reducing regulations in order to attract investment. Brunei as a country, for example, continue its effort in improving international rankings of national ease of doing business and competitiveness. We all understand that Indonesia has made various arrangements for foreign direct investment to assist in the financing of this shift of capital. In petrochemical and gas sectors, it was reported that Abu Dhabi National Oil Company signed deals with PT Pertamina and PT Chandra Asri Petrochemicals. Indonesia and UAE plan to establish sovereign wealth fund with participation of Japan, SoftBank, and US International Development Finance Corporation, and use the fund to invest in the development of the new capital. It was also made, we were also made to understand from the media that Japan's SoftBank has offered to invest 30 to 40 billion US dollars. Indonesia, on the other hand, Indonesian government, on the other hand, has offered several projects in North Kalimantan, including construction of hydropower plants to China. And coming to the role of One Belt, One Road initiative, which is also known as the New Silk Road Plan. This initiative by the Chinese government in 2013 is to promote free trade and connectivity between Asian, European, and African continents. This is an enormous, ambitious, and meaningful initiative that accounts for 62% of the world's population and 31% of global GDP. The 21st Century Maritime Silk Road aims to link China with Europe through the South China Sea, South Asia, Indian Ocean, Middle East, and the Mediterranean, and connect China to Africa via South China Sea, South Asia, and Indian Oceans. Much has been written on this initiative, the negative aspect of what China is trying to do, vis-a-vis the dominance of China on few countries now, as a result of non-payment of the loan. But on the other hand, I was trying to promote industries and foreign direct investment in Brunei for a long time. And it was always difficult to get foreign direct investment. And Brunei, I think, has gained now with a vast project that we have at Pulau Muara Besar, with the involvement of Heng Yi, which I understand the investment comes from the Chinese government. For certain, the economic trickle-down effects will happen around the neighboring provinces, such as Balikpapan and Samarinda. But some said it may not, probably it may not even reach Nusa Tenggara, Irian, and Sulawesi. This is one report that I read. But obviously, as I've mentioned before, with the involvement of countries like UAE, Japan, and of course China, there'll be other countries that will invest towards the shifting of Jakarta to Borneo. And foreign investment will obviously come and take advantage of the various economic opportunities available. It was mentioned before, what are those opportunities? There'll be developments in urban cities, utilities, environmental, maritime infrastructure, and I think eventually the development of eastern Indonesia, which are Maluku and Papua. But I came across a report from INDAF, which said, and I think it was also pointed out just now, which I consider as negative predictions, where the shift of the new capital will bring about only marginal improvements. This is because the shift is only about moving government and not business. And as I've indicated earlier, Jakarta has been the center of business and other services. So just by moving government, INDF said there would be not much contribution to the national growth of Indonesia as a whole. For example, it says the new capital will contribute an additional 0.02% to the country's economic growth. It was mentioned just now. 0.17% to total investment, 0.02% to total export and imports, and 0.05% to total employment rates. However, we hope such prediction will not deter prospective foreign direct investment and change Indonesia's decision to move the capital to our island of Borneo. This project must be made actionable and not just aspirational. Ibu Dewi had said that this is not the first time that Indonesia has decided to move its capital. From history, Indonesia's capital has been moved around in the past to Yogyakarta, Aceh, Sumatra, Jakarta in 1950, and now, inshallah, to East Kalimantan. Let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Borneo will be given continuous blessings, protection, and safeguard us from natural disasters. And these are the utmost reasons why Indonesia has chosen East Kalimantan. And Mr. Moderator has also said that from history, there were 53 countries that have moved their capital, of which some have failed and some were successful. As early as 1911, Canberra became Australia's capital. 1960, Brasilia was replaced by Rio de Janeiro. 2012, South Korea moved its capital from Seoul to Sejong, which is 112 kilometers away. But due to Sejong's lack of facilities, like public transit and commercial mall space, many workers commute into Sejong for work instead of permanently settling in the area. And some have predicted that may as well happen to Jakarta, that there will be movement of people rather than people staying permanently in the new capital. For the last 2 weeks, when I was requested to present my paper, I did a short study among our professionals, ex-ministers, permanent secretaries, on this matter of how Brunei will be affected by this move of capital. some say it is too far away for us to even feel the effect. And some said there's a Malay word, tempias, ketempiasan, tempias. So that means when there is hujan, yeah, tempias is when you open your windows and your doors. So that means since the new capital is too far away, Brunei will not feel the ketempiasan. So, but many said, why are we talking about the positive effect of this move of the new capital? What happened to Biampiaga? Biampiaga has been there for 26 years. Have 26 years, which I think there is a map here. There's a map here, which comprise the islands of Borneo and all the surroundings islands around Borneo. Yeah? Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak, Labuan, Brunei as a sovereign entity, Mindanao, and many islands in Indonesia. The overall goal of Biampiaga, again to refresh your memory, is to help accelerate the process of regional integration, basically through increase in trade, investment and tourism, and facilitating free movement of people, goods and services, sharing common infrastructure and natural resources, and promoting economic complementation. During the inauguration of Biampiaga, President Ramos said, "We envision a peaceful and borderless trading, fishing, educational, and tourism areas without any borders, without any protocols, and without any special bodies." Has that been happening? The question. The strength and wealth of Biampiaga, of course, shall be further enhanced with the shift of Indonesia's capital to East Kalimantan. The conduits and linkages that Biampiaga has already established since 26 years ago are the enabling mechanism to further develop the participating countries and provinces of Biampiaga. And with the indulgence of His Excellency Emmanuel, he said that there would be a direct flight to Sandakan at the end of this year, at the end of this month. To KK. But to recall my memory, I was in Biampiaga for a long time. That was what we were trying to do 20 years ago, and nothing happened. Because of the restrictions, we feel that whenever we wanted to do business, trade with Sabah, with Sarawak, we had to get permission from Kuala Lumpur. When we wanted to do things with Mindanao, we had to get approval from Manila, and the same with Indonesia. So I think those are the kind of restrictions that has happened, within Biampiaga. Anyway, despite those negativeness, I still believe that Biampiaga has had major achievements over the last 26 years, ranging from a proliferation of roads, ports, and other infrastructure that led to greater land, sea, and air connectivity between countries, improvement in trade and tourism, and expansion in agribusiness, and countries' stronger commitment to environmental preservation. We need to look at a bright future by making Biampiaga a resilient, inclusive, sustainable, and economically competitive sub-region, and a building block for ASEAN integration. This goal is possible since Biampiaga comprises of countries and provinces among the richest in ASEAN. I think I've taken 10 minutes of my time. Mr. Moderator, allow me to conclude my presentation with 2 rangkaps of pantun. Kaki sengal terus diunjur, berehat sebentar membeli kikik. Terima kasih kepada penganjur, menjemput saya datang ke KK. Datang ke KK senang diurus. Sangal means board, not sengal, sangal. Sangal di rumah, terus kemari. Tali persahabatan jangan diputus. Maju Borneo, gembiralah kami. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Pangeran. Okay, I hope when you're on your way to Kota Kinabalu, so did you buy amplang? Sedap juga tu, amplang. Amplang, nanti saya bagi. Right. All right. Now, okay, well, that's fair enough. Pangeran have shown the positive and negative side of the relocations from the economic impact. Well, of course, I want to talk about BIMP Iaga, but later we'll go to that. Okay, that is a very important point, right? But to be fair, I just want to let you know, if you talk about trade, yeah, you know, in East Kalimantan, you know the Milo yang kita minum tu kan, the Milo, alright? So do you know there's a lot of Milo from from Tawau, imported in East Kalimantan? Did you know that? They like our Milo, right? Now, it's not just Milo, other foods as well, right? Now, to be fair, when we talk about relocation, yes, there are some negative externality that we might probably want to consider, right? There are some things that we're quite skeptical, which our Pangeran have talked about just now. But to be fair, definitely, if there's a relocation, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, before Indonesia decide to relocate Jakarta to East Kalimantan, I just want to let you know there's one NGO actually already talked about the importance of East Kalimantan. Why? Because everybody talk about China. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket. Look what happened now, right? So diversification quite crucial, right? Now, we know that East Kalimantan is booming. Tan Sri Majid Khan already explained just now, right? How East Kalimantan is important and is so close to Kalabakan, Tawau, which is also booming as well. Now, my question to His Excellency Emmanuel. Now, since you are not really far away from us, right, but you're always close to us, okay? How do you see this relocation? What was the spillover? The tempias. Tempias ni is also like sometimes when you spit, a lot of saliva. It happens to me sometimes because I'm a lecturer, so my student usually will sit a bit far because of tempias. So the spillover effect, how do you see it? Sir, maybe from Philippine Mindanao point of view, right? Okay, I can say no. Oh, I cannot say no.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First, please allow me to congratulate the World Islamic Economic Forum and Sabah, especially the Chief Minister, for hosting this very critical and important event. Second, please allow me to express early on our interest and desire, the Philippines for that matter, to host the next WIEF. The staging of the WIEF in Mindanao, specifically the city of Davao, would be very meaningful for us, especially now that we are supporting the nascent Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, which has been established under the leadership of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. That would be very meaningful to them. Second, please allow me to post a non-violent protest to the title of our discussion, the implications of the Indonesian capital's transfer to East Kalimantan to Borneo. Excuse me, it will also affect the Philippines. Non-violent protest. My dear friends, The relocation of the new or the national government capital is not new. History is replete with examples of countries which relocated their government centers, the most recent of which was in 2005 when Myanmar moved its seat of government from Yangon to a newly created city called Naypyidaw. In fact, my country, the Philippines, has long been planning to transfer our government center from the overpopulated Metro Manila to the new Clark City, a former American base 100 kilometers up north. There was, however, no other time in the history of humanity or the world when a country's decision to move its seat of government or capital created so much excitement and expectations than the recent announcement of President Joko Widodo that the country's seat of government will move from Jakarta to East Kalimantan in the island of Borneo. From the outside looking in, I see President Widodo's brilliant move to be based on socio-economic, environmental, and science-based standpoints. What is the meaning of this movement to the region? We see a regional economic development that will be spurred by the establishment of Indonesia's capital in East Kalimantan. President Widodo's decision to transfer his country's administrative capital is not only seen as a stroke of genius, as it is expected to result in spreading the nation's wealth and growth across its multi-time zoned country, but also help to address the economic disparity in the archipelago of more than 17,000 islands. With this development, the Indonesian government is expected to roll out a massive infrastructure buildup over the next 3 to 4 years to lay the groundwork for the expected sharp increase of business and economic activities in the new capital. The excitement and expectations with bated breath, however, is not only confined to the people of Kalimantan or Indonesia, including the island of Borneo. Neighboring countries, especially members of the sub-regional group Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East ASEAN Growth Area or BIMP YAGA, are agog over the opportunities that this development offers. For one, this often overlooked and neglected region is expected to emerge as a new production area and its potentials greatly enhanced. Mindanao, for example, the Philippines' second largest island, along with the island provinces, which have long been described as the country's back door, will now have the distinct advantage of gaining proximity to the capital of the most populous member of the BIMP YAGA. Look, with this transfer now of the Indonesian capital to East Kalimantan, this brings all of the capitals of BIMP YAGA to less than 2 hours flying time from each other. Kota Kinabalu and Davao City being the de facto capitals of BIMP YAGA for Malaysia and for the Philippines respectively. The emerging economic boom of East Kalimantan is seen to significantly benefit the other focus areas of BIMP YAGA, given the close proximity of the capitals. Given the long history of kinship and shared cultural heritage among the BIMP YAGA member countries, business and trade transactions, the volume of export products from BIM countries through East Kalimantan is expected to grow. The massive construction of buildings, roads, bridges, ports, water facilities, and dams, among others, will require an estimated 300,000 skilled workers, some of whom could come from the regional neighbors. The focus on the new Indonesian capital is also expected to boost tourism in the region, a development which will benefit not only Indonesia, but also Malaysia, Brunei, and the southern Philippines. With the expected expansion of the manufacturing sector in East Kalimantan, raw materials are expected to be sourced from areas near the new capital. There are, however, certain preparatory actions that must be taken, not only by Indonesia, but also the BIM countries to ensure that the benefits of the establishment of the new capital will lead to the development of the sub-region. President Widodo has started the preparation by conceptualizing what he calls the border economic area, which involves the clustering of activities extending beyond the conventional special economic zones, the establishment of cross-border networks of productive activities, which encourages the creation of economies by scale by firms of bordering countries and achieve well-defined goals. I agree with the observation of our speaker from Brunei Darussalam regarding the restrictions in trade and commerce, in spite of the fact that BIMP Yaga's vision was to tear down all of these restrictions among member countries of the BIMP Yaga. I agree with him. Therefore, it is incumbent that Indonesia must lead the way to the strengthening of the regional market. The 4 member countries of BIMP are linked by cultural and ethnic ties. We Filipinos proudly declare that we belong to the Malay race, and our ancestors came from Borneo. There are over 1,000 Bahasa words in our dialects. We say mahal to describe goods that are expensive, and mura for goods that are affordable. Kanan is right, but kiri is not left. Kiri in Tagalog means a flirt. But we have a lot of things in common. We must work on these commonalities. There is a great need for the member countries of BIMP Yaga to embrace the idea of a common economy and common market in the region. This is a market that should not require much adjustments given our ethnic and cultural ties. There is a need for us to create a vibrant sub-regional market with very little or totally no trade restrictions as originally envisioned by BIMP Yaga, and no bureaucratic hiccups. In the last BIMP Yaga meeting which I attended in Kuching, I proposed the establishment of a digital common market platform which could be accessed by both producers and consumers in the region, which would facilitate the exchange of goods, trade, and commerce among the member countries. Lastly, BIMP must build a self-sustaining agriculture and economy. Our economies must not be overly dependent on traditional export markets, as rightly pointed out by the moderator. Please allow me to emphasize this by pointing out the current economic difficulties which our countries face in view of COVID-19 pandemic. It has been declared a pandemic just today by the World Health Organization, and the fallout from trade rows between big economies. By the way, let me announce to the member countries of BIMP Yaga that as the signing minister of the Philippines to BIMP Yaga, we will initiate the convening of the senior ministers of BIMP Yaga to address the adverse effects of COVID-19 to our respective economies. We have to prepare for this. We have to do something about it. Dependence on one or two large economies as the principal players in our own economic growth could prove to be disastrous. Right now, there is a slowdown on our agricultural exports in the Philippines because of the health turmoil in our traditional export destinations. Our banana exports have gone down, our fruit exports have gone down, and this is because nobody's going out of their homes right now. If we play our cards right, every nation in the Sulawesi Quadrangle could soar high on the wings of Indonesia's capital shift. I would like to end with a proverb. When the elephants fight, ants must leave the room. Maybe by creating our own independent sub-regional economy, by helping one another, we could turn our anthill into an economic mountain. Inshallah, Shukran.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right, I like the last part, the proverb. But before that, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri Panglima Madius Tangau, the Deputy Chief Minister. Right, thank you for joining us. Datuk Sri Panglima Wong, I will ask more questions later, so you can talk more. But you got to remember, our minister is here. No, I'm just joking, all right. Anyway, thank you, His Excellency. When we talk about, when we talk about this again, this relocation, again, before President Jokowi before the announcement from President Jokowi, I forgot to tell you this just now. There's one NGO called the Sabah Empowerment and Economic Development. Actually, they talk about the importance of East Kalimantan. Right? Like I said just now, you cannot put all your egg in one basket. We got to diversify, and our region back door is booming. Right? Why not shift the attention to East Kalimantan? All right. Diversify means, well, I mean, I'm not saying that China is not important. Yes, but it's not the handmaiden we have to focus, right? Well, yes, sir. Of course, when the relocation happened, Mindanao will get the spillover effect. Perhaps this time, you can use a new term you introduce in Mindanao, tempias, the spillover. Yeah, and then when I go to Mindanao next time, now I know, don't kiri me. Is that? All right. Anyway, now, when we talk about, again, development, when we talk about relocation, now, when we talk about business opportunity, it means nothing without road. It means nothing without effective connectivity. So, in Malaysia, the previous government have announced the Pan Borneo Highway. All right, it's one of the big projects. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, the project. I mean, we need that road long time ago. But yes, it has been introduced, which is the Pan Borneo Highway will connect the whole Borneo, Malaysia. But at the same time, Indonesia also have a Trans Kalimantan Highway. Yeah. So imagine this road is connected, what they call ASEAN Highway, A150. So imagine this connected. Can you see the trade activities that we will have? Can you see that? Beyond that connectivity, of course, there will be that greater spillover effect, and I am positive as much as, Pangeran is a bit skeptical about the relocation, but of course at the same time he's giving a balanced point of view, but I believe this region will become the greater Borneo one day. Now, before that, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Zaliha, Haja Zaliha, which is also the head of communication for Lebuh Raya Utara, which is the Pan Borneo Highway for Sarawak. So perhaps, ma'am, how do you see this connectivity? How do you see it will give not just economic effect, perhaps it's beyond that, right? Perhaps you can comment a little bit. All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Tan Sri Fuzi, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, Tan Sri, Datuk, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much to the team from WIEF for inviting me to be part of this very important discussion about the move of the Indonesian capital to Kalimantan. It's extremely exciting. I was in Jakarta all of last week. As Ibu said, it's a city of 32 million people. It is amazing to see the mass of people. It's amazing to feel the energy. And it's the pace of the development, the people's resilience. So, just looking at that, I have every confidence that the move to Kalimantan is going to be big news for all of us. We do expect to feel that tempias, even in Sarawak too. And as Dr. Firdausi was saying, yes, in Sarawak we have, after 50 over years of joining to form Malaysia in 1963, we started talking about having this connectivity around the big island of Borneo back in 1963. So particularly Sabah and Sarawak, we've been waiting for this better connectivity since then. Then we spoke about it, and then the government decided in 2014, 2015 to kickstart it off. And everybody in Sabah and Sarawak, I know in Sarawak for sure, they wanted the highway yesterday. We couldn't wait. We cannot wait for better connectivity. In Sarawak, we even coined the term, Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak, efficient connections. That is what we want. And I'm sure Sabah feels the same way too. Because the potential is so great when you get connectivity, when you get the better infrastructure for goods, people, services, for the economy to grow. The multiplier effect is the potential is so big. So that's why we are so excited. The move to Kalimantan presents so many multiple opportunities and possibilities, but it's so important to tap and get more segments of society to seize these opportunities. And that's why I've called my presentation, Seize the Opportunity, Build More Than Connectivity. So as a Sarawakian, I wanted to share how Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak has actually means more than a highway to ordinary Sarawakians. So if I can just share a few slides, it's actually more pretty pictures than nothing. This is our highway, completed 4 lanes in Bintulu. This is a 42-kilometer stretch. It was a kickoff project, and it's done by my company, Lebuh Raya Borneo Utara. I know the name sounds like Sabah, Borneo Utara, but the founders, they had this vision already, that to connect northern Borneo with the highway. So we called it Lebuh Raya Borneo Utara. That's the company. So our company started Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak, the construction of Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak, as a project delivery partner. It stretches, the highway in Sarawak will stretch over 1,000 kilometers from one end of Sarawak to the other, connecting onwards to Brunei and to Sabah at Merapo Sindumin. Yes, we will still have to chop our passport 8 kali when we go through Brunei. We still haven't figured out a better way to do that. But I suppose it's a way to get to know our Brunei brothers and sisters and stop and enjoy their foods, as Pengiran Dr. Yaakob has already explained how he's enjoying Sabah foods. So we will stop in Brunei too. So this picture, like I said, is the kickoff project of the Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak in Bintulu. It started in 2015 and is open to the public, all 4 lanes in 2019. This is another segment of the Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak that is completed. This is a totally new greenfield area, Teluk Melano to Sematan. This is one of the few greenfield areas, about 20% only of the segment that we were building is in greenfield. But what it did is, as you know, with infrastructure, once you have a road, the potential to open this area, and this area, Teluk Melano, Sematan, there's so much potential for tourism. So everyone was excited when it was opened. We completed the highway, this stretch of the highway 33 kilometers ahead of schedule, and it was open to the public in January 2019. Now this highway, this stretch is part of 786 kilometers that my company was building. Admittedly, this is a 2-lane. We are building the 4-lane highway for the rest of the stretch. It's like what I showed you, the first page, the first slide. The project at 16.488 billion ringgit is the single largest infrastructure project in Sarawak. But for Sarawak and the federal government then, they knew building Pan Borneo is more than just building a highway. It's about building connectivity. So like I said, we're so excited about this enhancing connectivity. We even coined our tagline, efficient connections for Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak. We know that road infrastructure is a catalyst to development. The multiplier effect for roads and infrastructure, the North-South Highway in Peninsular Malaysia is said to be, the multiplier effect is said to be 3 to 4 times on the economy. For Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak, because a lot of it runs through, a lot of the population is still in rural areas, the Chief Minister then said the multiplier effect could even be up to 8 times as high for Sarawak. So building Pan Borneo is more than just building a highway for Sarawak. But to get that multiplier, you have to design it. It's a strategy. You have to design it as an opportunity for Sarawak in different segments, in different sectors, to participate, to get involved, to be part of it, to take advantage of this golden opportunity. From jobs to increased demand and for construction materials, for consultancy, for growth of supporting industries such as transportation, F&B, housing, etc. You have to design it so that the whole segment of society will participate in one way or another, directly or indirectly. It's for us already, it's afforded so many opportunities for local Sarawakians, such as our local contractors now. We engage the contracts are done by local contractors. Where they lack the knowledge to build a highway, we allow them to joint venture with the more experienced players from Peninsular Malaysia. So if you didn't have the knowledge, it didn't matter. Go and joint venture, go and marry, and then come and do the highway. And that's what we have done. And I'm quite sure that some of our contractors on the Pan Borneo Highway experience will now be looking to Kalimantan to participate in such development opportunities that the new capital holds. So now our local contractors have new experience in building highways. They have new experience in handling a billion ringgit projects. Their people have new jobs, their people have new skills, they've gained new capabilities, and now their markets are beyond Sarawak. The highway was designed by local consultants, and they are Bumi and non-Bumi as well. But they're Sarawak consultants. Our people got jobs. On average, 10,000 people work on the Pan Borneo Highway in 25 different sections. 10,000 people in direct jobs and indirectly. And our people, they gain new skills, such as in engineering, building highways, such as, and I'll show you a picture in a minute, building information highway, in turning 2D models into a new digital twin for the Pan Borneo Highway. So we didn't just build a physical highway, we built this digital twin as well, taking advantage of the digital economy and fitting our people already in the digital economy. I might have that picture here. Yeah, that's the picture. This picture is a cross-section. I always call it like it's an X-ray vision of the highway. So what we've done is we've built this digital twin in the computer of the 786 kilometers of the Pan Borneo Highway. But what it does is it allows us to see what's up above the ground and below the ground. It allows us, if you want to put in the fiber cables for 5G later, you don't have to worry what's underground. You know what is where, what nut, what bolt, what age it is, what size it is. It's all there. So, and just think, our Sarawak engineers developed this, and that's what we're so proud of. We built more than a highway. Our people now can do this, and they can transfer their knowledge into other projects beyond. This is just an example of how we raised the benchmark. We also raised a benchmark in construction methods for the construction industry, in health and safety, in environment, even in simple things like traffic management. So Pan Borneo Highway, again, more than just building a highway. So we come back to our, title. Before I go to our title, this is the last slide. I'm very proud of this slide because this signboard says kilometer 0.00 of the Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak. And actually, kilometer 0 of the Pan Borneo Highway full stop across Sabah and Sarawak. This was completed in January. So what it is what it means for us is Sarawak is improving connectivity and accelerating growth. The highway will allow us to transport goods, people, and services faster in a safer way, but it's also moving our Sarawakians beyond. Now, in terms of connectivity, Sarawak is already doing several major road projects to improve connectivity around our state: Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak, Sarawak Coastal Road, Sarawak Trunk Road. We're improving existing roads in the northern part of Sarawak, in Limbang and Lawas. And we're even improving, we will be doing improvements to the existing road between Sirian and Tebedu, which will link to Ntikong on the Indonesian side and onwards to the Indonesian road network, because we definitely want to tap that. There's also other plans that have been announced by the state government of Sarawak, which is to build a border security road along the border. That's over 1,000 kilometers. And the previous federal government had announced a Sabah-Sarawak link road and a Trans-Borneo Highway, linking Sarawak, Sabah, and Kalimantan. So there's a lot happening. We're excited every time we hear news of a new highway coming up or new road, new plans to improve connectivity, because it's an opportunity to build more. It's an opportunity for so many segments of our society to get involved, to participate, to encourage, to offer themselves, to follow, to jump on this journey and this bandwagon too. So in ending, I'd say making development plans a reality, you have to design it. Those in government, in leadership positions, design it by design. Make it part of the strategy to involve more. Make the policy reflect that vision. Put in a governance structure so that investors will know that you're operating in a fair manner, in a transparent manner, with accountability. Put in an implementation model so that the local community participates and benefits, that you build local capacity, that you add to the local multiplier effect. Making development plans requires a strong will and champions honestly, leaders need to say your thing day in, day out. The best champions are your leaders, and that's what you need. And finally, I think stakeholder management, to carry our people along the journey, to build that awareness, to build that excitement, and to manage expectations, yes, pros and cons, and continue, but still always build support for the bigger picture. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not something that cannot be done. We've done it in Sarawak through the Pan Borneo Highway Sarawak. So I would advise, take a leaf from our experience to essentially build more than just connectivity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Haja Zalida. Well, there you go, just build more than connectivity. What we can see from building road is not just building that road, but technology, upskilling, right? Human resource development. Well, of course, that's the beauty of not just road, but looking beyond that, how much we can offer. And of course, you can see that in Kalimantan, physical infrastructure is still, they are still developing it. Perhaps Sarawak got something to offer, Sabah got something to offer as well, Brunei got something to offer, Mindanao too, right? Maybe energy, Bakun, you know, Sarawak can be the main supplier for East Kalimantan, right? Datuk Seri Panglima, how are you? Don't look at me like that.
Thank you.
Right. I know Datuk very well, right? So, Datuk, you would, last year, if I'm not mistaken, Yang Berhormat, is it last year, August, or, sorry, is it November or December, the entourage went to East Kalimantan? I guess it was November, is it? Right, I guess we have to give credit to our state government, actually, organize an entourage to go to East Kalimantan, who bring all the business chamber, all the player, to go to East Kalimantan. And this is important. It is not just an ordinary trip, because in economy, you need to show the big push. What does it mean, big push? Meaning to say, the government show that they are confident and they are interested to invest in East Kalimantan, then the private sector will follow suit. Usually it's like that, all right? Now, Datuk, you were there, Datuk, right?
Yes, yes.
I know, I saw that photo in Facebook, right? Not your Facebook though, right?
Okay.
You have Facebook, Datuk?
Yes.
Oh yeah, in your Facebook, sorry, it was only that, sorry. Yeah, it was your Facebook. You were there. You saw everything. You saw potential. You were there, you're talking to the business chamber. You were there, you see what are the things that you can develop. If I give you a magic wand today, like this one, right? Which sector would you invest?
Good question.
Thank you. And we have our minister there as well.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Moderator. I do not have any slide to show. I was only given 3 days as a spare tire, you know, to replace somebody who cannot make it to speak in this forum.
Not spare tire, you are very important. You are not spare tire.
To me, I think after listening our friends from the Philippines, from the Brunei Darussalam, from the Indonesia, and as well as Sarawak, it seemed to me this is a Bimiaga session rather than what we call, you know, organized by the World or the WIEF. And I also take the opportunity to thank WIEF to give me the opportunity to speak to our to this forum. As an old man, I decided to sit down rather than go to the stand there. What is important here, I think Sabah is more Bimiaga than any other part of the Bimiaga region. Why I say that? We have Indonesian here, we have a lot of Bruneian here, we also a lot of Filipinos here, you know, in Sabah here, you know, apart from Malaysian. So there's no other place that's more Bimiaga than Sabah, you know. If we're going to talk about Bimiaga, I think probably Sabah people have more information to talk about Bimiaga than anybody else. So having said that, I'd like also to mention that is that, the Honorable, Mr. Emmanuel had mentioned that with the shifting of the Indonesian capital to Kalimantan, it makes every capital very near, less than 2 hours. It's less than 1.5 hours to the Manila. Now Indonesian capital move here is very near, and so is Brunei. So now furthest capital is probably Kuala Lumpur, which is at least 2.5 hours, more than 2 hours. So we also like to advise, our national leaders to shift the national capital from Putrajaya to Kota Kinabalu, and I like to quote my ministers here, to make Sabah and Sarawak become the mainland of Malaysia. It's high time that in terms of land masses, we are bigger. Sarawak is bigger than Peninsular Malaysia. Sabah is 3/4 the size of Peninsular Malaysia. Together, we definitely make a good mainland for Malaysia. Now, with the intention of Indonesian authority decide to move the capital city to Kalimantan, then we even nearer, for the united the whole Borneo Island working together. Just for information, the Borneo Island is the second largest island in the world after Greenland. So we are very rich in terms of resources. In fact, the Borneo Island is the richest island, or rather the richest part in the world. We are very rich in terms of resources. We are very rich in marine life. We have the heart of Borneo in Kalimantan together with Sarawak and Sabah. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the heart of Borneo. We have the greatest biodiversity, is in this region. We also have the largest carbon trading area in this region. What do I mean carbon trading here? Meaning to say that we have green forest for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, compared to where other part of the world, you have winter, you don't see any green, So this is the real place for any investors to should look into seriously. If you are serious in terms of investing in any part of the world, I think this is the most important part of the world for your investment to relocate it to this part of the world. And probably this is the most set, in terms of economic activities. And we like to propose, and in fact, the private sector in Sabah here already proposed, not proposed, we are already campaigning Sabah to be a hub for the Far East, as comparable to Dubai for the Middle East. Why I say Sabah is actually a natural hub for the Far East? Because we are right in the center of Southeast Asia. We are within 6 hours to all the major economic powerhouse in this particular region, including India, including China, including the whole ASEAN, as well as down south to Australia. So where on earth you get this kind of huge market size? The market size in China is the largest, second is India, and then the third now, I think, between Indonesia and the United States. And Indonesia is going to be the fourth richest country, or rather the fourth largest economy in the world, predicted in the year 2050 after China, after India, after US. Indonesia is the fourth one. So we are so near to big potentials and big opportunities. Talking about opportunities, there are no other place for any opportunity better than this part of the region. I think definitely the authority in Indonesia make the right choice to move its capital city to Kalimantan. But having said that, we also need to, where there is opportunity, there are also a lot of challenges. We also need to look at the challenges that you know that are going to happen, or are they facing that we face, in welcoming Indonesia to shift the capital to Kalimantan. It is very obvious that it's already mentioned by our what I call Puan Dewi have been mentioned that it is not when a capital city been located. Normally, we are looking at the commercial sector as well as the administrative sector. It looks to me that Indonesia is more focused, just like Putrajaya and also Canberra, Australia, that they are also only focusing very much on the administrative area sector, which is the government sector. So they're talking about probably not to move the 150 million, or rather at least 50 million people from Jakarta to Kalimantan. So if you look at Canberra and our experience in Canberra and our experience in Putrajaya, Putrajaya after 5 p.m., nothing happening, no activities at all. You can see after how many years already Putrajaya is in existence. And same is Canberra. Not even tourists going to Canberra, for that matter. So we have to be very careful. Yes, we must have, there's a lot of opportunity for the Indonesian capital to move to Kalimantan. It does not mean that everybody will come to Kalimantan. For that matter, most likely a lot of people still go back to Jakarta. Because Jakarta have a lot of things to offer. You have food to offer, you got the industry to offer, you got many things to offer, entertainment to offer, and so on. So these are the factors probably we need to look into very seriously when we talking about how you're going to tap on the opportunity in a place like Kalimantan. Now, we also believe, realize that talking about Kalimantan, talking about Sabah, we are actually, our culture almost the same. We speak almost the same language as well. So we are a lot of similarities. So to me, Kalimantan is a big, although it's only a 50 million maybe they're talking about, a big hinterland for Sabah. So as been mentioned by our doctor moderator, with the experience of the coronavirus, I think it's time that it is very important that China is very, very important to us. I think Indonesia is also very important to us. They are just very near to us. It just less than, if the Pan Borneo Highway is completed and the connectivity between, as mentioned by our friend from Sarawak, between Tawau and also maybe from to Tarakan and so on, as mentioned by our Tan Sri earlier on this morning, I think there's plenty of opportunity there. But as I said, when there is opportunity, there is also challenges. And what are the challenges that we need to rectify? I think one of the areas that we really need to rectify is to look into seriously how we can connect the whole of Borneo Island. If we can have a Pan Borneo Highway, the whole way around right up from the Kutat, right down to maybe Banjarmasin and right up to Brunei and so on, Dar es Salaam, then I'm sure a lot of economic activities can happen. And I believe that we can work, synergize with one another. We can promote investment, tourism, and what have you, together with all the regional cooperation. But I said, as I always believe that the private sector will not move by itself. The private sector will always follow what is the government policy like. So the political scenario need to be looked into very seriously. like Tan Sri have said, one investor wouldn't like to come to Malaysia because of the political instability that been considered. So if that is the case, I think it's important that I hope our state government to take the lead with the private sector. If we're going to work together with G2G with Indonesia side, and also maybe Sarawak and Brunei Darussalam, maybe to some extent also including our friend from Mindanao, how we can synergize together and put ourselves in this region, which is at least have more than 70 million people in this particular region, which can be a very substantial market for all the investors, whether they come from overseas and what have you. So I always believe that this concept of prosper thy neighbor, it is only we prosper thy neighbor, unless we have Mindanao prosper. Of course, Brunei is always very rich. And our counterpart in Kalimantan Timur and Kalimantan Utara, we can work together. I'm sure this concept, which is actually originated by our Tun Mahathir, this concept of prosper thy neighbor. By prospering thy neighbor, we also prosper thyself. So this is, I'd like to end here with that note. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sri. Just for a while, which sector? Just one. Just one sector. Which one? Just one. Just one word. One sector.
I think the sector is agriculture.
Okay. All right. Agriculture. All right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, so you have heard from the panelists. Right now, before that, because I just want to make sure I fully utilize the time, then I'm now going to give the opportunity for the floor, right? Probably we have anyone who wants to give, you can give a question, you can comment. Anyone from the floor? Oh, okay, this guy. Oh, okay, I know this guy. Might probably want to introduce yourself, sir. And where you're from?
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Rahizal. I'm from KK, from Kota Kinabalu. It's good that we have this topic specifically on the relocations of the capital from Indonesia to Kalimantan. We've been saying this. I mean, I've and few of my friends, we've been talking about the need for us to integrate the Borneo market for a while now. I think since 2017, we've been meeting a lot of business chambers, government agencies, both at states and federal level, just try to push these ideas of this is about time that Borneo Island work together among them to bring about changes, especially the improving the socio-economic of people in Borneo. I'd just like to echo one statement made by Tan Sri Majid earlier when he said that if we don't do something now, then I'm afraid that we're going to lose big opportunity now. When we push these ideas about integrating the market, at that time the idea was not due to the relocation itself. With or without the relocations, the need to integrate the whole market in Borneo is much needed at this time. I think for a very longest time, Sabah has relied a lot on all the policy, economic policy from the federal government. Now, we have various government agencies for MITI, MIDA, and so on. Now, to be fair to them, when they go out and promoting business opportunity investments, be it whether it's institutional investment, SME, and so on, they bring the whole nations with them. Okay? There's not too much focus on Sabah and Sarawak. That's the thing. All the policies that we have now is basically, if you look at it, from since we are part of Malaysia, is basically a policy that has been driven or being crafted at federal level, not at the state level. And I'm really happy to see that I think the first few months after we had the new government in 2018, the chief ministers take a big step by visiting Kaltara, North Kalimantan, and also Kalimantan Timur, Kaltim, because it's sending a strong signal that we are serious looking at integrating our market. Now, Indonesia, now Kalimantan, they have been starting with their own Trans-Kalimantan, and in certain part of the cities, they already started moving towards creating their railway system. Now, my point is, Pan Borneo, we have spent like, I think, close to 20 billion alone for Pan Borneo. Don't tell me we want to build this, spend this 20 billion, and by the end of the day, we don't do nothing about it. Is this just for people to jalan-jalan, go to tip of Borneo, ambil gambar? That's it? So, with all these connectivities, going back to what Tan Sri Majid said earlier, this is very, in terms of how we operating still within the environments of business as usual. Indonesia part, North Kalimantan, they have provide linkages, road, up until Simanggaris. The only connection is between Serudong to Simanggaris. And they have completed this like 7 or 10 years ago, I think. And yet nothing happened on the other part of Kalibakan. I don't know why. It's because of security. Yes, I do get it. Globalizations bring about opportunity, but at the same time also it provides a lot of challenges. But my concern is, at the state level or at the federal level, we are so fixated with looking at the challenges that we forget about this big opportunity that our neighbor is just basically our neighbor. Not Kalimantan, it's just like few hours drive. Tarakan is just our neighbor. And we put all our basket in China. Don't get me wrong, China is here to stay. When we coined this, when we pushed for this idea about integrating the market, my concern and our concern at that time was we are too focused on China, that over-dependence, that in future, if something happened in terms of change of policy, at that time we didn't foresee, we are not prophet, we are not angel, we can't foresee what happened in the future. But at that time, our concern, if there is a shift in terms of policy in China, then what happened with all these businesses that flourish overnight, setting up hotel just to cater tourists from China, what will happen to them? And then COVID-19 happened. Then everybody realizing how much we over-dependence on the Chinese market. We should focus on them, but they should be more focused also looking at our neighbor. This is what I want the government to do. And we have the Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Panglima Madius here. Datuk Seri, I'm maybe just a suggestions, maybe this is not the right platform. We have World Islamic Economic Forum roundtable in Kota Kinabalu. It's about time we have a Borneo Economic Forum dialogue that brings all the key players in Borneo. And I would love to see Sabah being on top of the Borneo to take the lead in doing so. This is my hope, and hopefully this is something that the state government will look closely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Borneo Economic Dialogue. All right, sir? All right. Okay. Now, I'm just going to give 2 more. Okay, yes. Yeah, how are you? All right. My colleague from UMS.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fidausi and all our respected speakers. My name is Rini. I'm from UMS. All right, I do agree with the earlier statement, but when we're talking about integration, connectivity is an important issue. Just now, His Excellency Mr. Pignon stated that massive raw materials supply requirement, we could probably benefit from this, especially BIMPIAGA members. Although I do not personally agree, because in terms of supply chain management, but that's not my question. I was wondering, since we have all our members here, especially from Brunei, from the Philippines, from Indonesia, and of course Sabah and Sarawak, I was wondering, in terms of, I wanted to get the panel's opinion, in terms of social implications, particularly humanitarian, particularly in terms of labor. how would this transformation or this change, this movement from Jakarta to Kalimantan, how would this affect us in the region, particularly on the island of Borneo? Thank you.
All right, anyone from the panel? Maybe Ibu or Pangeran? In 1 minute. I have to be very strict with the time. Oh, okay, okay, maybe Ibu, yeah?
So, in terms of labor humanitarian, I mean, we've assessed not across the region yet,
All
but
right.
at least for East Kalimantan itself. Most of the civil servants that will be moved to, I mean, the first movement will be mostly civil servants, but gradually we will attract more on private sectors, of course, as I said before. But for the first move, most of the civil servants have a higher education than the local people, that's for sure, than the local communities. So we assess that this will have impacts on the local communities. There are 5 issues actually on land issue, because there are many land dispute in Kalimantan with the mining, illegal plantation, and so on. So first is land ownership, so we need to do something on that. And then the second one is on the local culture, of course. We have a different culture, Java. I mean, most of the civil servants will be Javanese, but the local people have Dayaks and other culture, so we have to respect that. And then the third one is on the education, as I said, higher education. People who move will have higher education than the local one. And then the fourth one is on health issues. There are many Javanese in Java. We maybe has a better sanitation. We have a better public health situation or infrastructure. But in East Kalimantan, of course, is more limited. So at the moment in the area, malaria and the fever, dengue fever, we call it demam berdarah, is very epidemic as well there. So those are the issue that we need to tackle when we move the capital to the East Kalimantan. So we preparing mitigation action to handle this. So, but in terms of the region, I think I need more data, more analysis, whether this also affect, at least in terms of Indonesian Kalimantan, it also may have some impacts on that. I mean, especially on the Dayak culture, the Dayak people, we call it Dayak, the indigenous people in Kalimantan. So they may have, especially on the land, because they claim that Kalimantan is Dayak's land. So we will, that's also another, in terms of not just East Kalimantan, we also need to cover the whole Indonesia Kalimantan on terms of land.
Okay, all right. Okay, so can we have one last question? I mean, one or two? A question. Anyone? Okay, we have one there.
Yeah, hi. Muhammad Basri Abdul Ghaffar from Federation of Sabah Industries.
1 minute, sir.
Yes. How do you benefit from this shifting of capital? I thought that was mentioning about working together. And we have been going through the Bimiaga way, for many, many years. We are still not working together. Policy, I mean, the challenges is there. Okay. So what is new things, what's new step that we take so that it will be not as bad as Bimiaga story? Thank you.
All right, I guess more on the challenges, yeah? Maybe we have His Excellency Emmanuel. Perhaps you can answer this. 1 minute, 30 seconds.
that issue has been repeated several times in the
I know,
conversation. And I agree. Until today, member countries of BIMPIAGA actually have held on to their restrictive protocols, sanitary, phytosanitary requirements. In fact, this is very well emphasized in the trade imbalance between the Philippines and Indonesia. Our deficit in the trade balance with Indonesia is $2.5 billion. Indonesia exports to us $3 billion worth of goods, and we only export back to Indonesia about $500 million worth of goods. And I mean no offense, but we have to accept the fact that unless and until Indonesia, softens its trade policies, it will really be difficult for us. I was Agriculture Secretary of the Philippines for 3 years prior to my reassignment to the Mineral Development Authority, and this was our problem. We could not export banana to Indonesia. We could not export. There's a lot of requirements. So I agree with the stakeholders of BIMPIAGA. We are going nowhere if the member countries do not embrace the original vision of BIMPIAGA as a free market. Originally envisioned to be a region where everybody can just, long before our governments were established, our people have been trading freely with one another. Sabahans would cross Jolo, Mindanao. Would you believe that there are Indonesians in the southern part of Mindanao? Yeah. They even vote in our elections.
Oh, okay. When it comes to that, it's quite...
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. It's very interesting.
But this is,
especially in Sabah.
this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on for ages. So who are we in government to restrict the traditional trade engagement between our people? This is something that we really must address today. Because unless and until our governments accept the fact that our people are linked by blood, by ethnicity, by culture, and that they have been trading and doing business with one another for ages, long before our governments were established, we will never get anywhere.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Dato', very quickly, Dato', 1 minute.
Yeah, I'd like to answer Dato' Basri's question. Actually, with the Indonesian capital moving to East Kalimantan, so basically, Indonesia will become part of BIMPIAGA already. So now it's only whether Kuala Lumpur will delegate the job to our state government here, or they want to move the capital to here. The way I look at it. Because Philippines is not the issue. Brunei is not the issue. Now, if Indonesia move to Kalimantan, it should not be an issue. Now it's only Kuala Lumpur is an issue. So I suggest that.
All right.
So I suggest that the Sabah people, the Sabahan, and also the state of Sabah must, including Sarawak, must take the initiative to lead nowadays. We cannot wait for all the instruction from Kuala Lumpur. It's too late. There are too many frustration going on. So maybe I think it's high time the people in Sabah, whether they from the business sector or commercial sector, from the government sector, we should lead, or the politician must lead. Instead of we have to wait for them. That's too long. I always joke with the BIMPIAGA. You know how BIMPIAGA stands for? BIMPIAGA, bring in more people, eat and go away. So that stress should not be there. After 30 years, we're still doing that.
All right, that's it.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Well, I guess it's not so much of relocating Kuala Lumpur to Kota Kinabalu. It's a matter of state government have more autonomy, talking about the economy, and relocations of Jakarta to East Kalimantan is an opportunity for us to empower and also to integrate this region. So ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about economic development, when we talk about growth, the key is all about integration. When we are integrated, of course, we can complement one another. When we complement, we can cooperate with one another. And that's the key purpose of having a economic progress and also growth. Yes, competition will be there, but in the globalized world today, collaboration and also cooperating with one another is much more important than competing with one another. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we already have listened to all the panelists. Thank you so much. All right, the Honorable Pangeran, His Excellency Emmanuel. I learned new words today, right? And then Ibu, and then Haja. Dr. Wong Kentau, thank you so much. So before I leave, ladies and gentlemen, kita kan rumpun yang sama. Kian mesra, sentiasa mesra. Marilah kita bekerja sama untuk Borneo kita. Alright. I forgot to put hashtag in front. Hashtag. Okay, anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Dr. Firdausi Sufyan. And speakers, may I have all of our role players to the front center of the stage for a group photograph, please.